How's it going, everyone? Derek from Make Media Studios, and today I'm going to be showing you how you edit your first photo in Lightroom. Just want to give a shout out to my wife. We're in quarantine right now, and she helped me cut my hair. It's a little bit crazy and long in the back, but this is what I got going on. So today, Lightroom. We're going to do a quick course in Lightroom. This is not advanced. This is literally importing your very first photo, basic corrections, and exporting. This is just crash course if you ever wanted to start editing photos in Lightroom. I find Lightroom to be a very easy application, and I think it's a great starting point to edit any photos. I usually have all my photos edit in Lightroom, then I bring them into Photoshop to finish it up and polish up the photo. All right, so let's get into it. Let's open up Lightroom. All right, so here we go. We've opened up Lightroom. Let's go ahead and import our very first photo. At the very top of Lightroom, there are different tabs. You got Library and Develop. Those are the main two that you're gonna be in for your basic first photo edit. Let's start with Library. That's where it organizes all your photos. And here is an import button, okay? So on import, let's click it. You can add your very first photo. You can go ahead and use the file directory here to find your photo, but another easy way is to just, if you have, like I'm gonna open up my desktop here. I have a folder called First Photo in Lightroom. I have a ARW file, which is a Sony RAW file. If I can suggest anything, it would be to shoot in RAW if you have a DSLR or mirrorless camera. It is really important to have a RAW photo because you have a lot of data in there to fix the photo if you made a mistake when you took it. If you take the photo in JPEG, there's just really not that much data for you to extract information out of. So here's a RAW file that I have of Disneyland. You can just take that RAW file, you can drag and drop it right into Lightroom, as long as you're on the import screen. Now I'm gonna come back here to Lightroom. In the import screen, I click import. Simple as that. You can pull in full folders, you can pull in multiple photos at a time. This, I'm just using one photo today. Once you have it here, you can go over to develop. If you have multiple photos, they're all gonna be down here in this reel at the bottom. But as you can see, I just have one photo on the screen. As you can see, this photo is like really dark and underexposed, and it really just doesn't look that great. This is a photo I took of me and my wife in Disneyland, and I have my camera on a tripod. There's no one monitoring the photo when I'm taking it. So good thing I shoot in RAW. Like I was saying, there's lots of data in there. If this is a JPEG, I probably really wouldn't be able to fix or correct this photo. But being a RAW photo, I can take this photo, since it's RAW, I can take this photo and extract a lot of data out of it and really make it a correct photo again, exposure-wise, and make it look good. So when you're in the develop area here, we have the selected photo here. This is pretty much what you're gonna use. This right pane here says basic. We're just gonna go over the basic parts of the develop module. So here it starts with temperature. That's not really where I would start. If you have temperature problems, we'll address that in a minute. The first thing you can start with is exposure. I said this photo was underexposed. So being that it's a RAW file, I can drag this to the right and I can get a lot of that data back. All right, so now it's starting to look like it was taken correctly. Let's just go over some of these other options here. All right, so if you look at my screen right here, contrast, okay? Contrast separates your lightest and your dark pixels from each other, creating more contrast. In this photo, I'm probably not gonna adjust that much, but as you can see, if you go here, it really starts to spread everything out. If you go the opposite direction, it starts to bring them back together. I might actually pull it a little bit together because you see the darks on the left, right here are the darks, and here are your brights. So I'm just trying to bring those together some more, just to have a more even histogram. If you don't know much about histograms, tons of videos on YouTube about how to read a histogram. But the basics here is your darks and your lights. So as you can see, if you click these, it'll show you. Those are my brightest marks, and dark-wise, blue. That's that. Let me just get rid of these so you don't see these on the screen. So here, I have brought up my exposure. I've dropped my contrast just a little bit. And now the next thing you can start doing is working with your highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. Okay, so highlights. This area of the flow V8 sign right here is really, really overexposed, unlike the rest of the photo where it was underexposed. So if I drop those highlights, I'm gonna get a lot of that data back. As you can see there, you know, from here, bring it in, we can actually read the sign now, which is really nice. And then it kind of made us a little bit darker though. So the next thing is we can take the shadows and we can pull a little bit back into us. As you can see there, I'd pull up the shadows, okay? Now what's great about Lightroom is there's this hotkey right here with the backslash. Backslash, you can hit that and it brings you to before. See how it says before up here in the top right? That's where you started. You click it again, that's where you're at. So you can see what you've adjusted so far as you're editing the photo. Now my whites and blacks aren't too bad. I'd probably bring down the whites a little bit so they're not so much peaking, and I'd bring up my blacks just a hair. So you can see that's where we started, that's where we're at. And the other section of this is the texture. You can pull up the texture and make, what it does is it really makes those lines in the photo and it makes them more contrasty. It adds contrast to lines and that adds more texture. I think because this photo was taken so dark at night and it was underexposed, I got a lot of grain in the photo. So that's not really something I want to do, is bring up the texture. Same thing with clarity. Clarity starts to just, it looks great, clarity on like landscape photo pop. But for portraits and stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of using clarity. Dehaze is great if you have a lot of fog or haziness in your photo. It will actually take away some of the haze. For me, there's actually a little bit of haze. I can just take a little bit out of the photo if I want. Yeah, so dehaze just takes away the haze. It's really great. I've done star photography, and you can literally get the haze out of the sky by dehazing it, and you can see the Milky Way behind it. It's a really cool feature for astrophotography. And then you have your vibrance and saturation. Now, saturation is really gonna brighten up these colors in the back. You can also make it a grayscale black and white photo, or you can make it super contrasty, which I'm not the biggest fan of because it starts to make us look like a pumpkin. You can bump a little bit of saturation in there if you want. I think that looks pretty good. Vibrance is the opposite colors. There's more vibrance in the blues. You can add the vibrance will actually not mess with the skin tone as much. As you can see, as I pull that all the way to the right, we still look a little bit like a pumpkin, but it's not too bad. So we take vibrance and we just push that a little bit. Maybe just put a little bit of saturation back in there, take a little bit of vibrance out. Let's preview this again. And yeah, that's really looking good. Another part you can look at is go from basic down to detail. And I said there was a lot of grain in this photo. You can actually pull this noise reduction over and you can get out some of that grain in the photo and really clean it up. If you go too far, it starts to make everything look a little soft, like maybe it wasn't in focus, but that actually cleaned up the sky a lot and our skin, and that made that look really nice. Now there's a lot more you can do with this photo, but this is definitely a basic edit. And you can see before where we were at, we had an underexposed, you can't really see anything photo to something that looks really great. And that's not a bad looking photo. So as you can see here though, check this out. I actually have this photo printed right here, and that is what I edited in Lightroom, and I use a little bit of Photoshop. In this photo, you can tell that there's a little bit of less people. I got rid of some of those people, which for a further tutorial in the future, I can show you how to do that. All right, other than that, that's a basic edit. That's what I wanted to show you today. That's how I edit a photo in Lightroom. And yeah, I really hope that you start using Lightroom. I think it's gonna help you with organizing your photos and editing them. It's a great tool and a great piece of software. Hey, if you like this tutorial today, you should really click that subscribe button down at the bottom. I'm gonna start posting more tutorials weekly so that you can see my different workflows. It's gonna be mostly the Adobe Creative Suite. I use Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere, and After Effects. Those are like my main four pieces of software that I use on a regular basis. And I'm gonna show you my tips and tricks, give you some basics, give you some more advanced tutorials, and I hope that you enjoy these. Thank you very much for tuning in, and you have a good day, all right? Wait, stop, look, there's more things that you can still do. Look, if you minimize whatever video you're currently watching of mine, and you scroll down a little bit, there's gonna be this red subscribe button. You know what you do? You click it. Just check this out, ready? Watch. It's crazy. It goes from red to gray. Right? blew my mind. I want you to check to see if yours goes from red to gray. And I want you to leave a comment down below if it did. And that's about it. Now you're at the end of the video. Go on ahead and watch something else now.